And then you start adjusting yourself. You start changing, you start adapting, and little by little until one day you're performing a version of you, a version of womanhood that doesn't even feel like you anymore. Hey, it's Morgan, and welcome to season 2 of Permission Podcast. This season, we're not playing it safe. We're not editing the truth to make it easier to swallow. We're not shrinking it, softening it, or wrapping it up with something more acceptable. This season is where we say it, even when it's uncomfortable, when it changes us, and even when it costs us. Because the truth is, the version of you that everyone understands is usually the version that's been filtered. And I'm not interested in that anymore. This season is about unlearning the rules you didn't realize you were following. The ones that told you who to be, how to love, how to show up, how much you want. It's about taking your voice back, your standards back, and your identity back. Fully, unapologetically, in real time. We're talking about the things people feel but don't always say out loud, desires, boundaries, relationships, identity, power, the messy middle of becoming someone new, not the polished version of it, the real one. So if you've been feeling that quiet pull, like something in your life doesn't quite fit anymore, this is your space, not to become someone else, but to come back to yourself. This is Permission Podcast, and I'm so glad that you're here. Hello, welcome to another episode of Permission Podcast. Lucky you, I'm doing a solo episode today, so let's get into it. I think one of the most subtle pressures that we carry as women is not being a woman, but it's being the right kind of woman. There are so many different types of woman that you can be. Soft, but not too soft. Strong, but not intimidating. Ambitious, but still likable. And at some point, I realized I don't actually know who decided to make these rules. So we're going to split this into some segments here. The invisible expectations. No one's going to hand you a rule book, but you feel it. You feel it in how you're received, in what gets praised, in what gets labeled as too much. And then you start adjusting yourself. You start changing, you start adapting, and little by little until one day you're performing a version of you, a version of womanhood that doesn't even feel like you anymore. And then we turn into this unraveling, and we're going to call this segment 2. So I remember the moment when I decided to tell my mom that I was dating a woman. And it's so funny because it was never this like big coming out of the closet moment. It was like, hey, I'm dating a woman. Take it or leave it, literally. I never really gave anyone the opportunity to shy me away from my own feelings. I never gave anyone the opportunity to tell me how I was living my life was wrong. Obviously, if I was harming someone or putting anyone in danger, like, obviously I would need to know that I was doing those things. But every decision that I've ever done, and you can ask my mom, my dad, everyone in my whole family knows that Morgan is going to do what Morgan wants to do. And I'm going to do that because I very much understand that in order for me to live my life, I have to make these decisions on my own. Will I always ask for opinions or advice? Yes. But I'm taking those answers so that I can choose for myself what I want to do. So I remember in the moment of me telling my mom, you know, hey, I'm dating a girl. I was going to go bring her a tea because we have this tea spot that we like and there's like a bunch of caffeine in it and it makes us like conquer the day. And I had been crying because if anyone knows, when you break up with your first female, it is like devastating, only because it's like the first relationship is when you've actually taken a moment to like say, yes, this is who I am. And when it doesn't work out, there is this like moment of like just deep sadness because it just didn't work out. You've said yes to this new identity for yourself. And so my mom just like couldn't understand why I was crying so much. Neither could I in the moment. But she was like, what is going on? And I just was like, look, I was dating a girl. It didn't work out. And now I'm crying about it. And she was just like, oh, okay. And I was like, yep, have a great day. Here's your tea. Bye. So like I never was trying to hide or trying to make her make me, not that she would ever try either. I think I've also been blessed with parents that like do love me for who I am and are now at the point where they're proud of like the decisions that I make, and they know that any decision that I'm going to make for myself or my son, I've already thought about it ahead of time. So they trust me that like I'm going to make the best decision for myself. So as you are finding out who the woman that you are for you is, whether you're, the listener or the doer, I'd want you to ask yourself, do I actually believe this thought or this lesson, or was I taught this? Do I actually want this life, or does it just look like the right one? And that process is actually very, very uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable because you have to then stop fitting into this box of expectations, and people start noticing this. And so you then go into this defining it for yourself, and what we are calling segment 3 of this episode is defining it for yourself, what being a woman means to you. Being a woman for me now looks like a complete contradiction because it can be soft and detached and loving and unavailable for any and all bullshit, grounded and still evolving. And I don't need that to make sense to everyone. I just need it to make sense for me because this is my life and it's my duty and my job to live my life to the fullest, because at the end of the day, when I am at the gates of heaven, I need to know that I did what my soul and my body needed to do for myself. So if you've been feeling like you don't quite fit in this box, good, great job. You are doing it right and perfect. And that probably means you're not forcing yourself into something that was never built for you. You don't need to be another person's version of yourself. You just need to be yours. Thanks so much for tuning in today's episode as you listen to my rant. If you loved today's episode, please go ahead and like, comment, and share with a woman who might have needed to hear it too. See you next time.